Today we have Anna Tuazon Parsons talking about her role in FBI. Please welcome Anna Tuazon Parsons.
I'm Anna. I am a actor, comedian, writer, classically trained, musical theater, jazz hands, all that stuff. And I've been doing this for a little while.
Yeah, she's been in the industry for over 10 years. What's it like working with us prestigious?
It's great. So you guys actually approached me a couple years ago for commercial rep. I've been working as a commercial actor for a while. I talked to you guys and said, hey, do you guys want to, come on board for theatrical? And that's how the magic started. It's been great. You guys are super communicative and are really specific, working with me, I'm sure with other clients about, you know, what talents I have and, how to best, pitch me and stuff like that. So it's been awesome.
So, would you like to explain a bit about your role and how the audition process went?
Yeah, so was my first procedural, so that was a lot of fun. And essentially, I mean, this could have been labeled as like a guest star, like a no speaking guest star, but I feel like it's, essentially a larger co-star. But yeah, so I got sent the sides and it was a self-tape, and this was one of those more difficult ones because the sides itself are essentially reacting to getting taken hostage and being brought in. I mean, our director, John Kasser, had me, improv some stuff when we actually shot. So, but there were no specific lines written in, which is, I guess something to do. But yeah, this was a lot harder for me because of its lack of dialogue. If I had 10 pages, it felt like it would have been easier, but it was essentially just reacting and, sort of being in the moment with having a gun to my head and being pregnant. So, and I stuffed my belly with a big pillow to get me feeling pregnant, which helped.
How long did it take for you to prepare this self-tape?
7 days. No, I'm kidding. It took, again, so I'm doing this thing now where I'm really being really specific about my work. So, and not that I wasn't before, but I feel like, just the more time I'm taking, even though I don't really think as an actor you should take more than an hour necessarily on the self-tape, but I've just been being more anal and more specific and not sending in anything until I really, really love it. So, I mean, I think it took a night, but I mean, again, I just took the time that I wanted for it. And I did the same thing recently and I got a call back for that and got to have a call back in front of him. So it's been working for me. So I just take whatever time I feel like I need until I'm happy with the work.
Yeah, that's great to hear. How was the overall filming experience like? Obviously, you were like really stuffed and all, but how was it?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. It was hot. It was like 105 degrees and I'm in a pregnancy outfit and I'm in like long sleeves, as you can see. So we were all it was rough for everybody, but I was like, it was so uncomfortable. Could not tie my shoe. I had to take that shit off every time I had to go to the bathroom. It was like, so I mean, those external things, which probably helped in the work, but it was really fun. I mean, the fun thing about working on a show and just watching the series regulars is you get to see how they really run the show, and they're obviously a tight knit family, and they've all been working together for a while. So coming in, and again, our director John Kasser was amazing. He was on 24 for a long time.
As you said, like doing writing and stand-up comedian also helps you to like maintain creativity and you can keep going with your work.
Yeah, for sure. So I just wrote a immigrant comedy special, being a Filipino American, Hapa, born in the Philippines and grew up US. And I co-wrote it with two other immigrant Korean Americans, and I just got a distribution deal, so it'll be on a network hopefully the next couple months. I'm really proud of this project. But I started writing because of the lack of seeing myself on television. And I think the first time I auditioned as a Filipino was The Cleaning Lady and then Joseph. So, and that's like the last 2 years. So because of the lack of representation and seeing myself on TV, I decided, screw this, I'm just going to write the parts for myself. And just start writing comedy. So in a way, it was just because of the lack of opportunities I had. So, yeah, it's definitely helped me and helps me stay creative and helps me also get work.
We have a few tips, few training recommendations by Anna, and these are acting training. So musical is more vocal, stage presence, dancing training, while acting is more focused on camera. And yeah, these were recommended by Anna. Would you like to go over them briefly?
So Leslie Kahn Groundlings, I would say Leslie Kahn Groundlings and UCB are three of the ones that I know that when I first moved to LA, the managers were like, please get this on your resume. So sometimes it's just a resume call. Leslie Kahn, Leslie Kahn's an interesting studio. A lot of people go there. I actually met a few actors that I'm still really long time friends with there. I feel like I got what I needed out of the studio, and I can't even really explain the training. I would just say, check it out if you want, but she's a very known name. Groundlings is improv and sketch writing, same thing for UCB, and Groundlings is what a lot of people do to get into SNL so they can audition for SNL. BGB Studio is run by Risa Brahman Garcia. She's a legendary casting director, and Steve Braun. And they're the ones that I've been with for a really long time, and they really supported me. And they're actually, I think, one of the studios that back their diversity initiatives in terms of trying to change the world on television, because they really support diversity. And then Risa, brought me in a ton for The Affair and everything she was casting at the time. A couple of years ago. And then Annie Gridley is great for audition technique for an actor who's auditioning a lot, needs to be working on that muscle.
What did you find valuable through this experience? Like, did you learn anything, not just FEI, but I guess overall in your acting career?
I think a lot of us probably know that it's definitely a marathon. It's not a sprint. So, I had right out of theater school, I was like, series regular tomorrow, because I was going in for those things and getting callbacks, whatever. But I realized then, or I look back now and I think, oh my God, I was so green. I probably would be a drug addict if I just got a series out of school. I'd be like, spend all my money, So I think just remembering that if you continue and if you really love doing the work and you love what you do in this business, it really, I have friends that do book a series right out of school and they're, doing really well. But I think just remembering that there's so many highs and lows, it's not a, meritocracy in terms of Hollywood or, Broadway or whatever. It's right time, right place, keeping going, perseverance, unending kind of positivity in a silly way. It's just, having a good support system, having good community. I've got a great cat. I've got a great husband. So those are kind of the things that keep me sane. Great therapist too.
Like, how do you deal with the rejection and just finding somebody else was casted in a tabloid? Like, how do you deal with it?
Hopefully you have enough opportunities to be continuing to go out so you can let go of the last thing. And I think also for me is that place where I'm able to find my creativity. Again, I just sold a comedy special and I'm passionate about writing about the Filipino American experience. And I've found that as myself through the process, that's been so much of my calling as a writer, and not less as an actor, but a combination of both and a multi-hyphenate. So I think it's a combination of finding other things that keep you creatively fulfilled, having great community, and just a real understanding of how this business works. 5,000 to 1. I mean, it's like I'm playing the lottery every day and being mad that I didn't, win. So and there's so many stupid factors that are out of your control. It's your height, or your hair is curly, or you look like somebody's ex-boyfriend. You know what I mean? You have no control over these things. So, and I think a part of it too is just staying in the work, is just continuing to stay in the work and, keep working on your craft and finding a community that keeps you fulfilled.
As a writer, do you feel like you have a different way of looking at character breakdown, or do you have any suggestions for how to go about that?
Yeah, I feel like character breakdowns, looking at it now, is often for the writer to be able to see, sort of explain things in their head about what they're looking for. So I often, unless it's something that's specifically giving me a sense of, time, era, character, class, things that are very specific to who that person is. I'm not saying I'm not gonna like not make a choice based on the breakdown, but I really always think, what am I bringing to this role? Because there's nobody else out here like me. So what am I going to do to not what do I think the casting director wants, but what am I going to do to make it specifically, authentically myself? So I think breakdowns now as a writer, I tend to disregard them more than I did before.
Like when you are building relationships with casting directors, like how do you go about doing that? Do you follow up with them like a few weeks later or a few days later, or how does that happen?
Yeah. If I have their email or contact info, obviously it's like shooting out that, 6-month or 3-month email and letting, saying, hey, whatever it is, it's like networking. It's, asking, sometimes it's, if I need a pitch or something, asking my agents or managers to like throw something out there to say hi. Some people do casting director workshops still. I don't do those, but I know that they have been successful for other actors. So yeah, so it's mostly that, and Facebook. I'm friends with a lot of them on Facebook.
Hey, Anna. So basically, whenever you do the self-tape, do you always have a reader? I know people always suggest to have a reader, but in the case, like, what if you don't have a reader? Like, you have to do it and you have to submit tomorrow. What do you do?
Yeah. So there's a great option out there. I think it's for both New York and LA. It's called weaudition.com. WeAudithion.com. So that's great because both East Coast and West Coast, you can, like meet up with an actor. So some of it's free, some you have to pay. But when I don't have an actor and it's like a really small piece that I have to throw on tape, sometimes I will. And actually what I did for this was I re-recorded my voice and I acted against my voice.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So I'll do that if I don't, I mean, like again, for this Coppola thing, I self-taped it at a taping studio and I came back and I hated the tape. I was like, this sucks. I hate this. So, and that was like a pretty short scene. And so I really took the time I re-recorded my voice and just acted. And then I could just like loop it over and over and do it until I was insane or until I was happy with the work.
When you are taping it several times and you want to make sure it's the best that you can, but you know that it's not the best, how do you know when to stop? And that's the best you can give at this moment and not just keep going.
That's a great question, because I actually, up until recently, had been the person who was like, I'm only doing like half an hour on this. I'm not going to spend time on it, because I just was like, I think my work's great. I'm fine. But I think for me, it obviously depends on my schedule. It depends on how much time I have. It depends on the project and how much I'm willing to put into that in terms of, so what the payback's going to be. The thing I said about my friend who writes on a show, she needed it. I got out of the Copa callback. I went back to the hotel. I had to like learn 5 pages that morning, send it. She was like, get it in right now. And I was like freaking out because I was like, I don't love this. I'm in a freaking hotel room. Like, I was like, I hate this, but I just said, you know what, like, this is all I have. This is all the time I have. This is all the energy I have. This is how much brain capacity I have. And it was just like, let it go. So I think it just depends on each particular project. Sometimes it's how much you're willing to work on it, how much you want it. I'm not saying that putting more into it means you want it more or less, because I've had, pins for series regulars where I only spent with a person I really connect with as a reader 20 minutes on it. You know what I mean? So I think it just varies per project. But I think when you just find something you feel good about, and that I think I would just say that, just when you feel something good about, because it could always be better. You know what I mean? Like it can always be better.
Sure.
But yeah, so that's what it's been like for me.
What is like something that let's say if you could do it again, you would change something different?
It's interesting because I feel like through my process and in my writing, I often write about protagonists, especially women and Filipino American and women who are generally not, who are completely imperfect. Because I think as an Asian American, at least, I don't know about you guys, but it was like, it set a high standard for myself. And when my mom was like, you're going to be an artist, I was like, yes, you know, I wasn't living up to her expectations. So what I'm saying is that I can often look back at the things that I felt like were mistakes, but I look back now and I also say that that was part of my process and it got me to where I am. So I think, I mean, I could have improved by like, you know, not drunk Facebook texting an ex or like things like that. You know what I mean? I'm like, God, he's a showrunner now on a Marvel series, you know, like there's stuff like that. But I also feel like that was part of my process. So my advice is just trust the journey.